Hello, my dear children, and a very warm welcome back. I am so happy to see you all here. Exams are just around the corner, I know, but don't you worry one bit. We're going to break this chapter down, make it super simple, and get you absolutely ready to score full marks. So, let's get started, shall we?
But wait, before we travel back in time, just do me a small favor, Beta. Quickly hit that subscribe button, and please share this with your friends so you can all study together. Honestly, reading your comments absolutely makes my day.
You know, we have all done this. Looked up at the night sky, at all those twinkling stars, and wondered, how did all of this begin? Where did our Earth, our home, come from? Well, today, we are going to find the answers. Let's start at the very beginning of it all.
So, the starting point of everything, according to science today, is a single massive event. You've heard of it, of course. It's called the Big Bang Theory. This is the ultimate origin story. Now just try to imagine this. Everything, I mean everything in the whole universe, all the stars, all the planets, you, me, all of it, was squeezed into one single tiny ball. Can you believe it? It was unbelievably hot and dense. Then, about 1,370 crore years ago, kaboom! It just exploded, and in that instant, our universe was born.
And from that one single point, as you can see here, the universe started expanding outwards, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as it grew and cooled down over billions of years, it eventually formed all the stars and galaxies we see today. Now, to make it really simple for your exams, let's just remember 3 easy steps, okay? First, the big explosion and a super fast expansion. Second, believe it or not, in just the first 3 minutes, things cooled down enough for the very first atoms to form. And third, after about 3 lakh years, the universe became transparent. That just means light could finally travel freely through space. Easy, right?
Your textbook gives a perfect example for this, and I love it. Think about blowing up a balloon. If you put some dots on it with a marker pen and then blow air into it, what happens? The dots move away from each other, don't they? That is exactly what's happening with galaxies in space. They are all moving away from each other as our universe keeps on expanding. Simple.
So, the universe is born, and it's growing. But how did we get stars and planets from all of this? Let's zoom in a little bit and look at how our own cosmic neighborhood was built. Everything starts with something called a nebula. Just think of it as a huge, massive cloud of gas and dust that's just floating around in space. These nebulae are like cosmic nurseries. They are the places where stars are born.
Okay, so once a star is born, there's a flat, spinning disk of leftover gas and dust all around it. Now, in this disk, little bits of dust and gas start sticking together, like little clumps. We call these planetesimals. Then these planetesimals start bumping into each other, colliding and sticking together, growing bigger and bigger and bigger, until finally, they become planets.
And guess what? That exact same process, that is how our very own planet, our beautiful Earth, was created. So now let's focus only on the incredible story of Earth.
Now, children, pay very close attention to this timeline. It is super important for your exams. About 460 crore years ago, Earth was just a hot, barren, rocky ball. Then, by 400 crore years ago, the oceans started to form. After that, a magical step. Life appeared around 380 crore years ago. And finally, by 250 crore years ago, photosynthesis began, which completely changed our planet forever.
So how did Earth get its layers? You know, the core, the mantle, the crust. The process has a fancy name, differentiation. When Earth was a big, hot, molten ball, all the heavy stuff, like iron, sank right to the center, and the lighter, rocky material floated to the top. It's just like when your mom boils milk, and the cream, the malai, rises to the top. Simple, isn't it?
So now we have a planet with layers. But it was still nothing like the world we live in today. It needed a complete makeover, starting with its atmosphere and its oceans.
The story of our atmosphere also happened in 3 easy stages. First, the original atmosphere of very light gases was just blown away by winds from the sun. Then, volcanoes started erupting, and they released all these gases from inside the Earth. This process is called degassing, and it formed the second atmosphere. And finally, early life forms started doing photosynthesis, and they pumped our air full of the oxygen that we all breathe today.
And that brings us to the beginning of life itself. It all started with chemical reactions in the oceans. Complex molecules somehow learned to make copies of themselves. For a very, very long time, life was just simple things, like blue-green algae living in the water. But the real turning point, the absolute game changer for our planet, was when they invented photosynthesis.
Okay, you've understood the whole story. Fantastic. Now for the most important part, how to get full marks in your exam. Let's practice with some questions straight from your textbook. Are my champions ready? Let's do this.
All right, here is a very common multiple-choice question. Have a look. What is the age of our Earth? Take a second and think about it. We just saw this in our timeline.
And the correct answer is C, 4.6 billion years. Now listen, it's very easy to get confused with 13.7 billion years. But please remember, Beta, that is the age of the entire universe, not just our little Earth. A very important point to remember.
Okay, next one. A short answer question. Explain the process of differentiation. Can you remember our Malai example? Try to form the answer in your head right now.
Here is a perfect 3-point answer that will get you full marks every single time. First, you mention it's about separation into layers based on density. Second, you give the example of heavy materials like iron sinking to form the core. And third, you explain that lighter materials floated to form the crust. That's it. Perfect answer.
Another very, very important question. After the first atmosphere was lost, the second one was formed by degassing. So, what gases was it made of? Think.
The answer is water vapor, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, methane, and ammonia. And what is the most important point to add? Always remember to write that there was very little or no free oxygen. That came much, much later, all thanks to life itself.
Wow, we've covered such an incredible journey today, from a single tiny point to our beautiful living planet. You all did such a great job following along. Now I have a final question for you. What do you think is the next big change for our planet Earth? I would love to see your answers in the comments. All the very best for your exams, my dear children, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.